It's a cool and hay fevery morning this morning, and we're looking at a six-wheel drive Land Rover Perentie Ambulance. Now, yesterday I had a couple of overheating issues with this. I was driving down the highway within the 5k distance that I'm allowed to within lockdown, and I looked down and my temperature gauge is rapidly retreating back from 100, which is about on the warning zone in this. These things normally sit on about 85 degrees and don't fluctuate unless you're towing. So that's a bit unusual for this. So I was going to go for a drive this morning and show you the issue, but I think I better fix it rather than actually rely on it happening again. I don't really want to risk the integrity of this engine. But looking around for common things that might cause this, the first thing I did was get hold of my fan here and do this. That shouldn't happen, especially if I'm using my little finger just to pull that round. So that tells me I've got some belt slip. Now, if you're not familiar with these, the fan here is connected to this little bit on the front here, which is the water pump. Further down is the crankshaft that drives everything, as well as the alternator / vacuum pump. This is what's called the drive belt, and it is very loose. And it's probably the new belt that's worn in. So I need to undo this bolt here and pull that alternator across to tension the belt up. So I have myself a socket here. I'm not sure if it's exactly the right size, but it should do the job. This is a 12mm. It's also the smallest long socket I have on me. And I've got this guy to help with a bit of leverage to pull things across, if I can find a point to get some purchase on it. The magpies are hungry this morning and they're asking for a feed too, so let's get this sorted out. Sounds like my apprentice might be having a bit of a rough morning this morning too. Keep that nice and tight there. Alright, let's have a look this morning. That's a bit tighter. I definitely can't pull it in that direction. Let's go and have a look over here. I think one of the guys in the Perentie forums told me it needs about 10 kilos of tension. Well, I can pull it, but it takes a lot. Okay, certainly a lot more grip on there. One of the indicators that told me this might be the problem, so I went for a drive yesterday morning and it had a few little squeaky noises. Just briefly, I think until the belt warmed up and got some grip. But as the belt warms up, it also expands and gets looser, so alright. I've got some GoPros mounted on the thermostat and in the cab, so let's take it for a drive, do the drop-off, because my apprentice is going into on-site learning for a couple of hours because she's been having seizures in front of video chat. So yeah, that's been a whole load of regulations and whatnot in COVID era, but yeah, we'll get there. Anyway, we'll take it for a short drive and see if it overheats. The glow plugs warm up. Now I'm going to put the temp gauge in the corner, but it will be a bit fuzzy because of the focal range I've got to use. There's not much I can do about it, so it's still readable anyway. Yeah, I'll give you a hand in. Right, you got yourself in today. You're good. All right. See how we go here. I'd expect it's going to warm up pretty quick if the fan belt's not working. Oh, gearbox is definitely cold this morning. I think I need to put a bit more of that smooth shift in the gearbox, or a thinner oil. Give it a bit of load here. Alright, now we're just starting to hit the low mark, so we're finally warming up a bit. Certainly much more normal for these conditions. It's about 10 or 12 degrees Celsius outside. Alright, we've been sitting for a couple of hours. Let's see what happens. Been waiting for my apprentice to finish her schooling, so we should be fairly warm. And sitting in this seat crushes your nads, so you'll have to deal with me adjusting that too. Alright. Let's see how we go. We should still be kind of warm now. Might take it for a bit of a lap. See if it gets properly warm. Alright, we're hitting the 80 mark finally. We're about operating temperature now. Oh, and I do need to get diesel too. But I'm going to come back when I got my jerry can. I need to fill that up for the diesel heater as well. I think at this point it's pretty well behaving itself. Previously it would be bouncing all over the place at this point, but she's come up to operating temperature and it's pretty well sitting there. It's not jumping all over the place. Even if I take off with a bit of load on it like it was before, yeah, we're not budging. Thermostat should have popped at about 85 in this, I think. Somewhere about here it should pop. There we go. Somewhere about now. Alright, I'm going to pull up and wait for a minute. Alright. Because we're at a destination where I can stop for a minute. Alright, well we're back at the my desk here, and I think based on all of what we've just seen, probably was a loose drive belt. I'm not hearing it squeak anymore. The squeak that I could hear, I've narrowed down to being the drive belts for the alternator, which is on a separate pulley. And they've always had a bit of harmonics, partly because the drive pulley on that alternator is a little bit worn, and the fact that there's two belts on it. And it could also be the idler pulley for that's a little bit dicky as well. I've got to replace that. But any of that stuff is not related to the water pump. So far, temperatures are coming up and down fairly slowly and normally. I'm paying a lot more attention than I normally do to their behavior, but it's looking like it's fairly normal. So, yeah, certainly I've done a bit more driving than I was the last time it got to 100 degrees. Last time I'd been on the road for about 2 kilometers and it was at 100 degrees. So today I've done a lap around town. I did about 10 kilometers in laps around the town, and yeah, I've only just come up to 80 at that. So I think probably I fixed that issue. Anyway, I'm certainly going to check out some of the other things. I did do a poll on the community page on my Facebook channel with this earlier. But yeah, I'll go and I'll put this video in that link in the comments of that as well, so you guys can make your decision from that. Anyway, we'll see you all later.